Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel.
My name is April.
My name is Rondell.
And we are going to interrupt our regularly scheduled videos to bring to you something really serious that's happening in Mexico.
This is a vital announcement affecting all travelers moving through Mexico, so please stay tuned. There has been a huge swell of migration flow through Mexico, and it's caused quite a dilemma for the Mexican government. And as a result, there's been a massive crackdown.
A massive crackdown on immigration that's affecting all travelers, whether you hold a residency, whether you're here on a tourist permit, or whether you're trying to travel through the country to get to the US, you need to know what's up.
So in this video, we're going to talk about how the government has been cracking down, who it's affecting, and go over some different scenarios of what can happen to you.
So first, let's talk about how the Mexican government is addressing this migration issue.
Okay.
There's like a coalition formed between the authorities in Mexico or within the Mexican government. Like everybody's on the same page. So you may be hearing stories from the National Guard, from Mexico's Immigration Authority, which is the INM.
For all intents and purposes, that's ICE over here.
The immigration popos, and some police forces as well. They're all together and in agreement on working towards this migration crisis.
So pretty much anybody with the uniform on is up on the immigration issue. They formed this coalition. Now, how are they attacking these immigration issues?
If you cannot show documentation, originals on your person of your legal status within Mexico, you are at risk of a few things.
Back it up and say it again. The actual documentation, not a photocopy?
Yeah, photocopies will not work. You know, typically when you're traveling, you might not always have your passport on your person.
I've been guilty of this.
Like if you're going to a restaurant, you're going to the store, whatever, but any of those authorities are able to stop you at any point and ask you for your legal status or ask you to prove your legal status within the country.
And if you cannot prove that legal status, what happens?
You guys, this is where we've been hearing firsthand, secondhand stories about some people who have been victims of not having the proper documentation, not having it on them, or having expired documentation.
So there are various checkpoints set up throughout Mexico, many more now than there used to be. One gentleman was passing through this checkpoint and he was asked for his paperwork, and his paperwork had expired by 2 months. He overstayed his allotted time here. He was taken to a detention center where he was going to be deported to his home country after 7 days. But he contracted COVID while he was in this detention center, and he had to wait out a full 24 days before he was eventually deported.
You can literally and legally be detained for up to 60 days while they sort out your legitimacy in the country.
Now, of all the horror stories that we're hearing coming to surface right now, we haven't heard of anybody being detained for the full 60 days.
Right.
But we're hearing 4 days, 5 days, even 8 days. So it's crazy out here, and it's happening. We heard a lot of different YouTubers out here stating that this has always been the case. But I'm telling you that the heat has been turned up. It is real out here.
You know, I can say that legally and by law in Mexico, you're supposed to have your documents on you at all times.
Claro.
But no one's really been stopped about this. No one's really been enforcing this, but things are different now.
It's happening now.
But let me tell you, like, you can be detained, right? And that will suck, okay? You can also be deported. Yeah, that can happen to you. If you're coming in
Even if you're here legally?
No.
Okay.
No, not if you're here legally. Although you'll sit in
You
that.
ain't got your paperwork. We sending you back to the house.
You'll sit in that detention center until they can sort out your legitimacy.
And I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if it's at the top of their priority list to shut out your legitimacy as an immigrant.
Nah, as far as I know, like, they tell you that the process is slow. Okay, just so that you know, and you get like sparse phone calls throughout the week, like maybe 2 a week. But it's just a situation you don't want to be in. So besides deportation and besides being in a detention center, if you are in as a tourist on a tourist permit and you have that FMM card, you might be used to coming to Mexico and receiving 180 days.
All right.
But if they see that you are a repeat tourist,
a serial tourist,
a perpetual tourist,
a tourist that's here forever,
they are keeping track of your entries into Mexico. And if you re-enter and they see that you've been here lots of times and you don't have residency, then your FMM card could have less than 180 days.
Ooh, so if you are a serial tourist and you're coming back to Mexico for your third or fourth time or whatever, and they recognize it, and they probably will recognize it,
yep,
you're getting tagged.
People have gotten 7 and 10 days. A few have gotten 90 when they planned on being here for 180 days. So just know you're not entitled to those 180 days, and it's up to the discretion of the
immigration
officers.
agent.
Right.
Now, a couple of people pleaded while they were at the border, and they were given, I think one person had 7 days, and they asked for more, and they gave them 10 days to get their stuff to get out of Mexico. They gave them 10 days to pack up all of their belongings and leave.
Speaking of getting out of Mexico, one other penalty is that you can be barred. You can be barred from entering Mexico for a certain duration of time, depending on like if you are here illegally or if you've overstayed your welcome in the country.
So we're not trying to scare you guys. We're not telling you about what we've heard. This is not hearsay. We're telling you about things that we've actually seen and that we're seeing currently happening in the little Facebook groups that we're in and whatnot. So for a case in point, here are a couple of stories we know about.
A lot of people who have been victim to immigration roundup that's happening in Mexico have gone to the Facebook groups to share their experience and to let people know what's happening in this country. And for a lot of the people that were picked up and detained, if they did not have their paperwork in order, then they had to show proof that they were leaving the country or they were forced to leave the country. They were deported. But for some of the few that had their paperwork in order and it just wasn't on their person, they just had to wait out the time until the officials could verify that their documentation was legal and that they had a legal status within the country.
So again, for the sake of clarity, let us mention everyone who's affected by Mexico's crackdown in immigration.
So if you are an immigrant or a migrant traveling throughout Mexico or traveling through Mexico to get to another country, if you're pulled over to the side, chances are you're going to be affected.
If you are in Mexico as a temporary tourist on a temporary tourist visa, you are going to be affected. If you are here on a permanent residency, you are going to be affected. Anyone passing or traveling in or through Mexico, you are affected.
And how you are affected varies greatly on the type of documentation you have on your person.
Real talk. So we just urge everyone to keep your paperwork on your person. Period, point blank, and flat out. It's so deep, they had, if you have caught the bus inside of Mexico, you know you always have to show your passport before you get on the bus.
Right.
But the government pressured IDEO to put out a statement saying formally that...
Right, that you need to have your documentation on you at all times, and that even during the sale and boarding of your trip, that they will be checking for proper identification.
A couple of friends of ours, Cafe Con Leche, what up fellas? They had their paperwork checked on the actual bus.
You know what? A lot of the stories that we've been seeing have been at those IDEO bus stations where they are out and they are checking to make sure that you have identification and you have legal status that you can prove for Mexico.
So they're not playing games, and when I hear that they're pressuring agencies to put out formal statements, it makes me believe that this is just the first level of the crackdown. There's some deeper things that are coming.
So not only do you have to make sure you have your documents and your legal status on you, you have to make sure that stuff isn't expired and you haven't overstayed your time here.
So we aren't living in fear. We're hoping that you're not living in fear either, but we knew it was necessary to make you aware. As vloggers here in Mexico, we thought it was vitally important that we jump out here and let you know what we see is happening here in Mexico.
If you are a U.S. citizen, no matter where you travel, you should sign up for their STEP program. That's like the Safe Traveler Enrollment Program, and they will send out important notices to you depending on where you are. Well, they just sent out a notice mid-October about the immigration enforcement, pretty much letting you know your documents need to be in good standing and on you at all times, your ID, your passport, your FMM card, or if you are a resident of Mexico, you need to have your resident identification card on you at all times.
Or you can be detained for up to 60 days in a Mexican detainment center.
Yeah.
I don't really know what a detainment center looks like, but still, it sounds severe, doesn't it?
They letting you know the truth. And also that if any authority in Mexico asks you for those documents, that you have to show it.
You have to surrender them. This is what life as a traveler is about, being prepared and adhering to the laws where you are. The laws have been lax for a long time. Nobody's really been checking up on us, but now they are. In some future videos, we'll tell you guys how we feel about these reforms and what we're doing to stay prepared. But until then, we just wanted to jump out here and share this information with you. I think that's all I got. You have anything else to
that's
say?
it, guys. You got the information, so make sure you are equipped with your documentation.
Realness has been served. So look, my name is Rondell.
I'm April.
And we'll see you guys next time. So la
Peace.
vista.